Alrighty, folks. Welcome to Trading Made Simple. My name is Mike Conlon. I work for an outfit called FXEDU. We do forex trading education. And had their refunding today. Yields, they're starting to talk now about these walks on the bank, if you will. So it's not quite a run, but people are starting to walk on the bank. So people are very skeptical of the banking system. They're very fearful to keep their money there. Okay, we know about how this happened in Greece. There's apparently the best business to be in Greece right now is safety deposit boxes, because people have taken their monies out of the bank and they're stashing it in safety deposit boxes. Okay, and we're starting to see these things happening in Spain and Italy as well. So ECB's got to come out and come up with something to try and stem that tide, and that's basically what we saw out of Trichet earlier this morning when he started speaking after the ECB rate announcement. Okay, you can see that euros sold off quite a bit here. So let's that's kind of what's been happening behind here. Now you can see here this is just a 5-minute chart, and we had this euro strength earlier, and boom, we've sort of just been given this back and given this back. So where exactly are we in terms of looking at levels of support and resistance? And if you look right here, okay, you can see that we had a little bit of short-term support here right around this 140, 150 area. Okay, we obviously blew right through that, but it looks like we're starting to sit up just around here a little bit. So am I willing to call this support right now? Not exactly. The selling today has been pretty fast and furious. Okay, we still have the Dow down about 165, Nasdaq's down 48. Okay, we can look at the S&P here actually. I'll just show you this on the CFD. Okay, we can see S&P 500, okay, and that's off as well. So, the levels right here, it's a lot of selling going on, and it's tough at this point to say, okay, unless we want to do some short-term momentum trading, it's tough to say, all right, we want to get into trades right here. On the flip side, there really isn't a whole lot today that's going to, scream to me, hey, this market needs to turn itself around, and we need to start looking at buying here, especially with tomorrow's non-farm payrolls on the plate. So, it's difficult to hop in at these levels. So what we're going to do is probably just going to watch for a little bit and wait and see if anything jumps out at us. But one chart that's been interesting is Euro Yen. Kind of looking at this here, and I've got daily pivots up, and basically I've got the daily pivots that they're running through, but this is just a 5-minute chart we're looking at. Okay, and you can see here how we're just got down above that R2 level of resistance, which sort of acts as support now as we get in there. But you can really see that this 111 area is going to be, the R1 area is going to probably be a little bit more major support, especially if this pair starts selling off. So we can see that the short-term trend here, okay, is down. Obviously, we've given back, gosh, in the past, a couple of hours here, close to more than 200 pips. So that's a pretty dramatic move. So we don't want to get to the point where we're going to catch the falling knife, but we are going to wait and see if there's any support that steps in that can potentially act as an area where we could enact a trade. So that's what's happening with Euro Yen. We've got let's see here, what else can we look at? Let's take a look at Aussie dollar. If you guys have anything you want me to take a look at, by all means, let's fire them out and we can discuss. A lot of interesting stuff going on here. There's different themes in the market that we say from time to time. The correlations that tend to hold up, but a lot of times these correlations break down when things go a little bit haywire. So let's see here. What time frames do I use to find out about the current trend? It's often said that the shorter the time frame, the less reliable price action if you want to draw conclusions. Yes, that is true. Normally, the longer a trend is intact, the more the stronger it will be, and the more reliable it will be. But for the most part, when you're doing short-term trading, whether it's a little bit of scalping or a little bit of day trading, the trend isn't as important as the support and resistance levels, because you can look here, say Aussie USD, for example. We're just looking at this 5-minute chart. All right, but we can go back to the 30-minute chart, and you can see that we call this the intermediate term trend. It's down. All right, but if we start to go back a little bit further, all right, we're on the 4-hour now. We're going to say, all right, we're still down. And then right here at the daily, we would say, well, this wasn't an uptrend that just got broken recently. So obviously the longer trend is attacked, the more reliable it is. But for shorter term trading, it's really more about support and resistance. And recently we've had a bit of range-bound activity in all of these pairs because the market's just been a little bit wacky, to say the least. And if we go here, let's say the 2-hour chart, here you can see we just had a nice little up here, little triple top up on Aussie, and then boom, the sell-off, and we're coming right back down to that last area of support, which coincidentally is just above the what is this? The S3 here, support level 3. So there could be some support for Aussie in here at 105.25. Am I looking to get in and buy this puppy right here ahead of this? No, not exactly. I'd like to see what happens if it gets down there and gets tested, but I'm not willing to catch that falling knife just yet. But you can see here that we do have, well, some might consider a reversal candle here. Let me just expand this just a little bit so we can see this better. And you can see right here we've got basically a hammer candle, okay? And it closed outside of Bollinger Band. This is just a standard 22 Bollinger Band here. So some might call that a reversal candle. So if you were a short-term trader, all right, perhaps you would think about maybe taking a reversal trade here with the stop just below. But not quite willing to do that yet because it's, today's the kind of day where there's a lot of volatility and we've got a lot of heavy selling here. So this may not be the day to be looking for that. Oh, let's see here. Let's see. What do I use for strength and resistance? Just price, pivot points on the lower time frames? It's a little bit of both. It really depends. I mean, I like to keep the daily pivots up just to kind of know what's going on. But most of the time, I prefer just to draw my own levels, depending upon where the support or resistance may be. You know what I want to do here? I just want to take a look here at 5-minute chart on this. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit oversold here. And I want to look at dollar yen. All right, dollar yen, this is interesting, but we're pulling it back to 79 even here. And this is actually, let me just pull it out a little bit so you can see here. Okay, we're on these the pivots again, and we're all the way up here at R4, so we're just pulling back into that. We got the 20 period moving average moving higher, but stochastics are pointing lower. All right, perhaps there may be some sort of trade in here. So I'm just out like hunting around, looking for different stuff, and kind of what we may be considering. So yeah, when you talk about Aussie USD, yeah, we're definitely still looking at a short right here. Okay, you can see it on the 1-hour chart, but perhaps a pullback to this S3 area. If price tends to settle there, okay, maybe there's going to be room for a trade. But again, I don't want to short it down at this exact level because it's sort of near the bottom, and I just hate selling bottoms and then having to buy back on retracement. So I would prefer to see a pullback maybe up here to the S2 to maybe get into a short, or possibly even the middle band or the S1. You see, so with the two red lines, strength and resistance on longer term time frames on the 5-minute chart, yeah, it's essentially daily pivots that are on there, and I think you were referring to that dollar yen chart. Was that the one, Harley, you're talking about? If we look at it on the 5-minute, that wasn't it, I'm sorry. It was Aussie, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, yes, these are the daily pivots there. Okay, these are the S1 and the S2 lines right there. And then if we actually scrolled it down, you can see where the S3 is. So it just gives me an idea on the short-term chart where we are overall in terms of the overall picture of the market. Because a lot of times, I like to segment out the market and say, okay, if we're talking about a range, and today we would really call this a range, but we did have some nice up movement and then some down movement. If you know where that is in terms of the longer term time frame, okay, this can be an opportunity that if you can enact a trade that is on the side of the longer term trend, then perhaps you can have even a longer trade in there. So something that maybe starts out as a day trade could potentially become longer term. So, that's sort of why I look at it that way. So, where were we? Oh, let's see. So, what else do we have going on? Let's look back at Euro here. Still hanging around the bottom. I want to look at Euro Yen again. Okay, same deal. All right, we're making new lows here. This is still 5-minute chart, so again, we're not looking to just go flying into anything at this point. I want to take a look at dollar Swissy. Hey, dollar Swissy, this is actually the pivot right here. Okay, it's 77, and we're sitting just above it right now. Let's see what's happening. Man, as quick as these interventions happen, it's like you give back the gains immediately, and it's like these central bankers are trying to paddle a boat upriver. They've just got this tremendous tide moving against them. So I'm guessing that at this point, gold is probably, look at gold. Wow, 1680. That's something. So let's see here. Is interested in pairs with one strong and one weak currencies, CHF versus USD or Euro, for example. Okay. Well, when we talk about weak or strong, it's interesting. I think we can talk about the Swissy as a strong safe haven currency, but we also talk about the dollar as a safe haven currency as well, somewhat. Okay, Euro Swissy is probably more appropriate to look at weak versus strong. But when you think about it, it's kind of like obviously the dollar is weak as well, and it's potentially going to get weaker if people think that QE3 is going to happen, and it's not only a possibility but an inevitability. So when you talk about different risk themes that happen in the market, when you talk about generally saying risk off, which is what we're looking at today, okay, things like the Swiss are strong, okay, but the dollar actually has a little bit of strength as well. And you can see that as evidenced by Euro selling off here. So Euro Swissy is the weaker pair today, and that is something that we can look at. You see, do I find it harder to trade the U.S. session? It reverses so quickly with all this news coming out. Well, I tell you, it's sometimes it can be difficult, but it really has to do with I think the style of trading that I do, and it's really just shorter term trades from day trading to scalping. And, a lot of that, this market is good for that, but you have to be very quick, to stay with it. Because once those overnight trends start happening, you get maybe one reversal, perhaps another reversal, and then boom, hopefully the trend continues. So, right here we're looking Euro Swissy again, and it's going to be interesting to see what the SNB can do here. They lowered their interest rates the other night trying to weaken the Swiss franc, but you know what? It's when you talk about a safe haven currency, nobody cares what the interest is. All right? They just want to know that there's safety there. So, that's one of the reasons why, wow, look at this. Let's go back to the 5-minute here. And you can see this puppy's just selling off. It means Euro is weak, weak, weak. Let's look at Euro Yen. Okay, we just busted through this R2 level of resistance here, which potentially could have acted as support. Doesn't look like that's happening. But we can really see some Euro selling. And here's something interesting. I show you guys this from time to time, but this is sometimes a little bit too fast for folks. But what this is it's a scalping setup that I use. I use it on Euro USD because the spreads are fairly tight on that, and it's a 1-minute chart that we're looking at. Okay, this is a Heiken-Ashi chart. All right, and what it's got on it, it's got 3 sets of Bollinger Bands, the 1, the 2, and the 3 standard deviation band. And essentially what I'm looking for is quick scalps that happen once we hit those outside of the bands, and we get a Heiken-Ashi confirmation that there could potentially be a reversal. Well, what shows you a Heiken-Ashi reversal? And unlike candlesticks, well, I guess it can be similar to candlesticks. And you have to remember that Heiken-Ashi is different than candlesticks. So these long wicks do not mean support, for example, as they would in, say, a candlestick chart, but rather you want to see these. This actually means it's in a strong trend. So this long wicks are good in this instance. But basically you're looking for dojis on Heiken-Ashi to show you these reversals. And if you can get them as you're fading price action from one deviation to the next, preferably on the extreme or bands, all right, then sometimes you can get some decent trades out of that. So I'm going to keep an eye on this Euro USD here. And, again, it's so hard to just kind of hop in and catch the falling knife today, so to speak. It was one of these things where earlier this morning, it was really, I don't want to call it a layup, but, you see, U.S. stocks down, and right now it looks like Dow's down 200. So you see stocks down, you see oil down, all right, gold is just sort of middling around, and you've got Euro, was trading up a little bit, you've got yen weakness, you just knew that was ripe for reversal. The flight to safety sentiment is just too great. to have one of these interventions, especially now that they're taking a nap or they're sound asleep in Japan with the overnight. So this is the kind of thing you got to think about when you're looking at these markets. You're trading forex, you really got to think as a global macro trader and how all of these things sort of line up. Someone asked me the other day, well, why is Aussie going down? Gold is going up, and we know that the correlation between Aussie and gold is usually pretty high. Well, it depends on how gold is trading. Gold is an interesting instrument, okay, because it can trade two ways. Gold can trade with the commodity block when times are good, okay, and that means it's part of the risk-on trade. All right, but it can also trade the opposite in the risk-off block as a safe haven when times are bad, and you can see that gold obviously is trading as that safe haven. So that was one of the reasons why it's sort of decoupled from the Aussie. All right, so let's go back and see here. I'm guessing Aussie's down a little bit lower. Okay, sure is. And what do we have there for support? Oh, this is back down at 105.25, so we got a ways to go there. Let's go back and look at Euro Swissy. Continuing to sell. Okay. Let's see, Euro Yen, we're still looking at that. Wow. That just blasted right through that R2 area, which looks like next level's down at R1's just under 111 here. And you can see stochastics very oversold on a 5-minute chart. So I'm going to keep an eye on this and see what sort of develops. But if you have anything you want me to take a look at, by all means, fire it in. Be more than happy to scope it out. If there's anything that's going on in the market that you don't understand what's happening, I'll attempt to give you an answer. I can't necessarily say that I'm going to be right, but you have to sort of think of this market and the way that things react is it's both sides of the coin situation. You can make arguments for both sides. For example, tomorrow's non-farm payrolls. Well, what's going to happen to the dollar? Is the dollar going to strengthen if these numbers are good, or is it going to weaken if these numbers are good? What's going to happen with some of these correlations that happen in the market? Normally, dollar's stronger when stocks are down. Stocks are up, dollar's weaker. Can we find a situation where both stocks and the dollar can go up at the same time? Is that possible? So these are the type of things you got to think about. And, when you consider why money's moving to different places, you can talk about the dollar as a safe haven, and people rushing to the dollar, but I think it really happens more, under two circumstances. And, it's really when there's like structural issues and major problems. For example, when things happen with the euro, okay, that usually gives you dollar strength. Or, for example, with the banking crisis, of 2008, when people were concerned that, the financial world was going to collapse, that's when people are running to the dollar. But sometimes when you just get bad news, sometimes people go to the dollar, sometimes not. It depends on what the situation is. If we were already in the midst, say, of a quantitative easing cycle, all right, if we still had QE2 going on, let's say, and the numbers came in bad tomorrow, then it's quite possible that the dollar could weaken. All right, but if we're not in that cycle and the numbers come in bad, dollar could strengthen. But are people concerned that Bernanke's going to enact QE3? Well, what happens there? So regardless of what happens tomorrow, there's going to be volatility as the market tries to sort itself out. I mean, when you think about this non-farm payrolls report, I know you guys are all seasoned traders and watch this thing, and you know where the volatility is, and you know how crazy these things can be from time to time. But right now we're really at that tipping point where it's sort of like, hey, what the heck's going to happen? Is the global economy getting so bad that dollar's going to strengthen, everything else is going to weaken? What happens if Bernanke comes out over the weekend and says QE3? Is that going to cause the dollar to weaken, or is that actually going to cause more strength, even with him flooding the market? Because are things that bad that we need QE3 in response to every bad data point we get? So there's a lot of interesting food for thought, so to speak, in the market. And that's looking around. So, all right, what are we looking at here? Euro yen. Let's see. Do I trade NFP? How soon will I go into the trade, and do I plan it prior? It's hard to say, Harley. It really depends on what market action is doing. Usually I won't be in a position prior to NFP unless, for some reason I've been able to pick a direction near a top or bottom of the range, and, I've got some decent gains in there. Usually the move I like to do, when trading NFP is wait for the announcement, wait for the initial reaction, okay, and then either try and fade that reaction or wait for a pullback and then try and get in, depending. So it really, my trade will probably go in within 5 to 10 minutes after NFP comes out while the market sort of gets itself settled out. But generally speaking, I don't like to be in for that volatility just because it's too crazy. And, I like to trade with stops, and you just can't set a stop then because it's going to get banged regardless. So let's see. Here's a question. NOK is a safe haven currency. Yeah, the Norwegian krona. Yep, it can be a safe haven currency, but you have to, consider what some of these, safe havens are, and how you can get into them, what the practicality is. And NOK, it's I don't know. For me, it's a difficult currency to trade. But if you guys like it, that's something you can certainly look at. When we look at the Swiss franc, what's going on there? All right, and let's go back here and we'll see Euro Swiss, see if this thing's slowed down at all. No, not really, man. Just busted right through 109. All right, but we're sitting just up above this S1 area of support, which is still way down at 108.34. So we've got some ways to go right here. And a lot of times what happens is, especially, this time during the day, is we get into these like no man's land situations where we're sort of, smack dab in the middle of the range. It's kind of a coin flip. Hey, are we going up or are we going down? Well, the most recent move has obviously been selling, but right now we're actually, a little bit further down than we have been. But if we look at, dollar CAD here, we can say, all right, well, wait a second, what's going on with dollar CAD? Dollar's strengthening up a little bit, but it's just a nice slow move. Maybe that's something better to look at today. We're back on the 1 minute scalp deal here. Not a great setup, so I'm going to step aside of that for now. Let's go back over here. Let's see here. Oh, someone wants to park money in gold and Brazilian index. Gold right here at these levels, it's tough. I got to tell you. I was having a hard time with gold at 1630, and I said, gosh, it just looks so good right here, but it's breaking out, and it's a tough spot to hop into it. But sure enough, that was the right play. So Brazil, you got to think about what's going on in the global economy. Sure, some of these BRIC countries are kicking butt, and their economies look very strong, but there's a lot of bubble stuff going on, and especially in a place like Brazil. I know for a fact that the real estate market there has been on fire. Okay, and it's just a matter of time before they start to see some of the problems that plague the U.S. with the housing market. And you got to remember that down in Brazil, they're actually just starting up all of this CMBS stuff that basically allowed this housing market here in the U.S. to turn into a giant disaster. So I'd be careful with some of these emerging market countries that have pay high interest rates, that have these bubbles going on, because if the money dries up for whatever reason, then they could be in problems and in for a hard fall. So if you just keep yourself diversified amongst different countries, okay, you got some safe haven, you got some risk taking. Canada looks pretty decent right now. Australia, even though the Aussie dollar is falling, all right, you still get good interest there. Okay, China may be slowing down, but the Australian economy is still pretty strong. And let's think about it here. The Chinese economy has really been leading this global growth drive for some time, and they're saying, okay, we want to slow down, but when they look around, they see what's happening for the rest of the globe. They may say, well, you know what? Let's take the brakes off again, and it's game on. And then at that point, you see Aussie go flying higher again. So, China's really that wild card in the whole mix that, it's unfortunate that we don't have great ways to go in and play them other than, say stock ETFs or something like that. But my understanding is that those have been overvalued for some time. So it's really that black hole that China creates in the global economies. That's probably something that is going to need to be looked at in order to try and get a little bit more hegemony. So anyway, let's see here. Maybe gold will go up to 1,700 by weekend or Monday. Yeah, I think so. To be honest with you, that's not a bad call at all. When you look at gold, what's going on here? Gold's selling off. Who's selling gold? Does this mean Euro's moving higher, bouncing off 141? How about Aussie? Let's see where Aussie is. All right, Aussie, just sitting up there. Man, oh man. It's so tempting to try and get in and bottom pick one of these things, but you know, it's just one of those situations where gosh golly, it's tough. Maybe if Euro Yen sits up here and can establish itself above 111.50 and sit back up on this R2 here, maybe I'll consider hopping back in. I want to see a close up there though, but man, you can see this oversold activity down here on the stochastic. Just so you guys know, that's a 553 stochastic setting. I don't know if you can see that that well, but it's really just a short-term setting that I use for the day trades that I'm looking at. So, yeah, just looking out here at some other stuff. Man, oh man, you can just see how it's just amazing. This Euro Yen thing. Gosh, I'll go back and look at this on 30-minute. Just wild movement there. So you can see right here that, we've put in this little long tail and we're almost just sitting up here. If we can get maybe a close on the 30-minute above 11.15 or 11.50, then maybe there's a nice trade in there with, say, a 20 pip stop thereabouts. And you can see that we've just hit that oversold area as well. So, we'll have to take a look at it. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Anything else anybody wants to look at? Okay, we looked at Euro Yen. We talked about, we looked at Euro Swissy. Is this bouncing back? No, see, I didn't think so. Euro Swissy's, if you consider the way that Switzerland tried to intervene versus what Japan did, I guess you wouldn't even call it an intervention in Switzerland, but it'll be interesting to see if, even with the interest rate reduction, if they'll follow this up with some actual intervention as well. The Swiss and the Japanese are the two biggest culprits of interventions, and we know how those have gone for them. And quite frankly, it costs them a lot of money. I mean, it's the sort of thing where you're such a strong economy, you have such surplus in Switzerland. Maybe a stronger franc isn't that horrible of a thing. Go out and buy some stuff. Please. So anyway. Let's see. Do I trade NOKSEK or SGD? No, I don't. And you're exactly right, Harley. It's those spreads that's a problem for me. Generally speaking, the longer-term trades that I get involved with are usually the result of a good short-term trade that turns into a longer-term trade. Namely, I was able to pick a spot on the within a trend or something like that, near the bottom of that trend. So, hitting buying the bottom of a pullback in an uptrend, that's something that I'll hang on to. So, generally speaking, because I'm not trading those, I'm not going to be into them. And as far as long-term positions go in this market, unless, I get a really good positive, interest carry, I'm not really in it for the carry because, I don't have enough cash to make it worthwhile. So, it's just sort of, I'd rather just do my trades during the day, get in, get out, take some pips, and move on to the next one. So that's really how it goes for me. Oh, let's see here. How about Aussie? Has Aussie come back at all? Nope, just sitting right in there. And it looks like we're getting, this is on the 30-minute chart, maybe let's go and look a little bit. 5 minutes. Yeah, maybe, what, we're going to settle in and do a little bit of range-bound activity here. Where are we, 80 up to 90? And it's sort of like, gosh, I just don't see the reward for the risk that you have to put on at this point. And, that's something important that you got to think about, when you're out there trading. It's the risk to reward in all of your trades, And it's kind of like, well, it's great to see something going down, and you say, all right, this is going down, maybe I want to sell it, but, you have to think about where to get in. And if it's, near the bottom, right, there's going to be times when, the risk is going to be too great to get in there. And perhaps you just want to be patient and wait for a pullback. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on this Euro Yen here. I don't necessarily want to buy this thing because, man, look at that selling. But, it's going to be interesting here. So I'm looking at this 1 minute scalp deal, and you can see Euro. It's sort of, it's just sitting right in there. And it's very indecisive on where it wants to go or what it wants to do. And you can look at that. Well, there's the indecisiveness. There's a doji right there on the 5 minute chart. So just, remember the difference. This is Heiken Ashi, and this is candlesticks. I know it can be confusing, but you just want to, make sure you know the difference between the two types of charts if you're going to do something like this with the scalping side. All right, so just sitting right in there, and, man, There's no conviction here, no dead cat bounce, no nothing happening. Let's see. Anybody have anything they want to take a look at? Anybody got anything interesting? Exciting. Does anybody want to tell a joke? It's, you know, sometimes, you know, you get into these lulls in the day where, you know, the action's been so great that, you know, everyone just sort of just wants to take a sigh of relief. You take a breath for a moment and say, all right, wait a sec. You know, let me regroup and see what's happening here. You know, there's been so much market momentum. Let's just kind of sit back and say, all right, wait a second. What the heck's happening here? So, you know, we can use, from time to time, we can use some of these other markets to see the correlative effects on how, you know, these things are moving here. So, for example, gold right here we're looking at. You see gold's pushing back up, getting back towards the 1680, I guess just under 1682, all-time nominal high. Happened about, I don't know, half an hour ago. Okay, and you can see that. So let's take a look at something like Euro Swissy. All right, and we'll see that maybe Euro Swissy is going to start to turn around here and sell off a little bit. Even though stochastics look like it's pointing up, okay, this could be an interesting thing to take a look at because, you know, a lot of times if you can look at these different things in the market, it'll give you clues about what's happening. That even though the charts may not be screaming to you, hey, sell this thing or buy this thing, you know, it's the kind of thing where, you know, Euro Swissy right now is a little bit negatively correlated to the way gold's been traded. So we can watch that. So let's see here. Can we look at Gbp Jpy? Sure. All right. I mean, this chart looks very similar here to what we were just looking at with Euro Yen. Okay, we're just coming off of these very oversold levels, but that doesn't necessarily mean the selling's done here, right? I mean, we can see that this thing's, you know, just been in the same sort of move down that a lot of these things have been in. And I'm guessing it's probably just going to settle in here a little bit at 128.50. Okay, but right now, you know, still not willing to hop in and do anything. Let's see, Euro Swissy. Okay, so we are getting a little bit of selling here. Right, you can see how you can use these correlations to your advantage from time to time if you know what's happening here. Let's see here. Here's a joke. Two parrots sat on a perch. One says to the other, "Can you smell fish?" Thank you. That one's very, no, that's awful. That's an awful joke. For those of you who aren't able to get that joke, perch is a type of fish. But thank you very much, Cam, for that one. That's one of those, yeah, that's just not so good. Anyway, we don't need to quit our day jobs is what I guess we're all saying. But, you know, we may need to quit our day jobs here if we can't find some trades to enact. Because right now, you know, this market's still very volatile and it's still uncertain what's happening. But, you know, I got to tell you, tomorrow's non-farm payrolls, I just, you know, I don't know, maybe it's just a contrarian in me, but I feel like this is going to be a better number than the market's expecting. Okay, because the market's expecting the worst. And usually when the expectations are so low, all right, that's usually when you get the biggest surprises. Now, does that mean that, you know, everything's going to flip around, everybody's going to jump back into risk-taking tomorrow on a Friday ahead of a weekend where there's problems in Europe? Probably not. But you know what? I could see something happening like, you know, decent numbers, market sort of settles down, maybe it's up a little bit, you know, for stocks, maybe not down so much. And then all of a sudden, Sunday night on the Asian session, when it opens, all right, if nothing happens in Europe, nobody's defaulted, blown up, or done anything like that, then boom, you could see some big buying or selling there. So if you see some big buying, you know, it's tough to go into the weekend and take on that risk. But you know, that's the nice thing about the forex market is that, you know, that Sunday afternoon, you know, you can get right back in and wait and see what happens. And it's sort of like you get a 12-hour advance on, you know, stocks opening here in the U.S. and stocks opening in Europe, and it really, you know, can give you some clarity on and a head start and a jump start on the markets overall. So, let's see. Yep, Sunday afternoon NFP is usually good. Absolutely, because, you know, if you think about NFP, one of the downsides to try to trade it is that, you know, if it looks bad, you know, you're going into this weekend right after. It's always on a Friday, and they do that on purpose. Right? They don't want these jittery markets all week happening. You know, it's just, okay, Friday takes place, everybody squares their positions for the weekend, and whether you're putting on risk or you're taking it off, you know, that's sort of where it's at. But, you know, when you think about, okay, well now in the U.S. we have to wait until Monday morning for markets to open before, you know, you can make it another trade again, okay? You know, with the currency market, you don't have to wait for that, Okay, Sunday afternoon, bingo bango, you're in, and you can ride out the weekend and see what happens, you know. Take Saturday, go enjoy yourself, spend some time with family, whatever. Okay, Sunday, come back in, you know, keep an eye on the news. Did anything happen? You know, where's the problem? Where are the problems coming from? Right now, structural issues in Europe. Okay, bad economics in the U.S. Okay, well, does anything happen over the weekend? Well, you know, if nothing happened in Europe, then that means that potentially there's going to be some risk on starting on Monday, and you can get that jump start. You know, wait for markets to open, boom, you know, catch that wave, ride that a bit higher, and then, you know, hop out and wait and see how the week sets up. So, you know, a lot of different things you can do there, but NFP is going to be interesting, to say the least, tomorrow. But, you know, I don't know. I guess it's just because I'm contrarian for the most part, is that I just have a feeling that you know, it could come in better than expected. And it's kind of like, you know, if you want to you know, set the bar low, it's pretty easy to get over it. So that's really what we're looking at here. All right. Anybody got anything else you want to look at? We've got you know, a little bit more time left here, and you can just see we're sort of, you know, we just got this euro yen here. It's just sort of starting to slow down. We've got about an hour and a half left in the European session. And you know what's been interesting is that, and we haven't seen this in some time, and you know, it's I don't know if anybody's familiar with the plunge protection team here in the U.S. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but this was one of the I guess they call it the Fed's working group, or I don't know what they call it, but the idea was that, you know, a lot of times in like recent years, you'd see these afternoon rallies in stocks after huge down days. You know, and the joke was that it was this thing called the plunge protection team, where it was essentially, you know, this cadre of bankers and Fed type people and government people pushing markets higher to try and keep this thing from happening. Well, you know, we haven't seen that happen in quite some time, but you know, with the recent activity we've been seeing with the you know, U.S. announcing and releasing the strategic reserve in oil, you know, I'm surprised that we don't see more of this kind of stuff happening, especially if they think that they're going to need help going into non-farm payrolls tomorrow. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to say the least. I'm wondering what oil's doing. Are we back down to 90? Oh, sure. I just had my first experience with $4.50 gasoline this weekend, which, you know, for some of you is everyday practice. But man, $75 to fill up the tank. That was out of control. So what else do we have? Anybody have anything interesting? Here's Euro Swissy. Looks like it's bouncing back a little bit. Let's look at Aussie. Aussie pulling back just a little bit. There's a little short-term trade right there, maybe. Okay, maybe buy some Aussie. It's coming back up. Okay, Euro's setting up there. Looks like we got our little doji on the 1 minute scalp, but you can see how the range is really just narrowed here. So there's not a whole heck of a lot in there. Maybe 12 pips, maybe a little bit more. You know, I don't know if people want to do that, you know, that type of trading, but if it is something you're looking at, you know, there's a decent low risk scalp in here. Let's see. I need a new car. Yeah, I do need a new car, man. You know, it's amazing. You know, you got the wife, you got the kids, you got all the beach stuff, and by the time you throw it in the big clunker, yeah, $75 seems like nothing. So, yeah, I agree. I need a lot of new things, but the car is one of them. The Fiat 500 is, yeah, that's a nice one. I do need a large car. I have one, unfortunately. So, anyway. All right, well, I mean, we're getting near the end. Does anybody have any questions about what's going to happen tomorrow? All right, does anybody want to know about anything? Thoughts on politics, economics, anything at all? We've got a couple minutes here. I'm always happy to entertain. You know, sometimes it's you know, we get into this time frame and this time slot. It's difficult to find these good entries for trading, and that's really what, you know, I look for when I'm trying to place trades. It's you know, the idea is just very simple: buying ahead of support, selling ahead of resistance. I mean, you know, when you get a day like today, obviously it's difficult to try and step in and buy ahead of support because you really don't know if there is any true support with as much selling as we've seen. But you know, you can also look at it from the perspective of, you know, it's just really about trying to take low risk trades with low pip amounts, positive expectancy, good risk to reward, things of that nature. So, you know, that's really what it is I'm looking to do. And, you know, I'm using these pivot point levels as a guide to where some of the support is. Okay, we're looking for decent candle patterns that happen. All right, we're trying to use the bands, but on a day like today, it's tough to do because they're all just pointing sort of straight down. We've got the scalping deal here, but you can see that the market's sort of in this very indecisive mode, and usually when that happens, it means that there's not much happening that's going to encourage a reversal here in the market. So maybe we've stabilized for a little bit, but there's not really a trend reversal happening. There's no catalyst for that to happen. I mean, why would somebody want to step in and buy right now? It doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. We could see maybe some noon buying if some of these European traders want to get out of these shorts by the end of the day. Maybe some short covering there, potentially getting long if somebody's feeling pretty daring or had a particularly good day today. But other than that, there's just really no reason to be stepping into these markets on the opposite direction. And now that we have stalled, do you want to sell it down here? Maybe if the bottom of these ranges and we start making new lows, there'll be some decent scalps to happen in there, which, it doesn't have to be a scalp. It could just be a nice shorter-term trade. And who knows? Sometimes these short-term trades turn into, much bigger moves. So it's really just about nailing the entry and getting that low-risk opportunity. Oh, let's see here. Am I waiting for capitulation in the New York stock market? Yeah, it's hard to say because, again, we're looking for that catalyst here that's going to turn stocks around, and I just don't see what it is today, especially ahead of tomorrow's non-farm payrolls. That's why I brought up this idea of the plunge protection team because, you used to see days like this, and, I got to tell you, before I was really focused on forex and futures, I was a stock trader for over 8 years exclusively, and you used to see this plunge protection team jump in all the time, and it'd be the kind of day where markets were down, there was no news coming out, and then all of a sudden, boom, you'd see these massive rallies into the close, which would put the market, down just a little bit or actually flat, and that was sort of the joke. But right now, no real catalyst today, no real reason to buy, so why would you? See, do interventions always cause risk-off mode? No, not exactly. I mean, it's really more about it's the risk-off mode that causes the interventions. And if you think about it, it's usually the countries that are safe havens that have to enact interventions. And the two biggest culprits are the Swiss National Bank and Bank of Japan, and that's because they are the safe haven currencies. Okay, they're safe havens for different reasons. But what happens is that, obviously the currency gets too strong, hurts the exports, makes it more difficult for their own economic recovery, and, they're trying to spook investors out. Now, this SNB move here with the interest rates, that was really just a sort of a shot across the bow of the speculators. So, anyway, let's see here. So that's really what's been happening. So, whoops, it looks like my time's up here, folks, so I got to bounce. But, keep an eye on these markets. Very interesting times. Again, it's Mike Conlon. I'm with FXEDU. We've got online forex education courses, and I also run a one-on-one mentor program for select clientele. Give us a holler if you're interested, and I'll see you next week. All right, gang, good trading. So long.